guys, it's Brian. So I wanted to do a video today. It's kind of a twofold video. Wanted to introduce our newest member of the family. This is Colby Jo. She is a 5-year-old lab mix. We adopted her about 7 months ago actually, so it's been a little while, but she's been great. I mean, she does really well with my daughter. She behaves well. She doesn't chew up all the toys. So I wanted to share something that I had modified recently, our retractable leash. So this thing used to be about 17 feet long, and I shortened it to about 8 feet, and there's a reason I did that. So she is about a 60-pound dog. When she sees a bunny or a squirrel, anything like that, she takes off in full sprint. So if you know anything about physics, when you get 60 pounds in mad dash, it can pull you out of your wheelchair. So I didn't want that to happen. Wanted to shorten this thing, and I wanted to show you how I did it. So the nice thing about it being only 8 feet is as I'm walking her on the sidewalk, she can go close to the street, but she can't actually go into the street. So the reason I like to use a retractable leash, I know there's probably a lot of people that train dogs that think just a regular leash is better. I like this because it stays out of my wheels. I don't have to worry about tripping over it, getting twisted up, or anything like that. So I typically will just latch this onto my handle right here, and all I have to worry about is just wheeling myself. So that's been working really well. So as I'm sitting here with the leash, obviously she thinks that she's going for a walk. Sorry, buddy, it's just a little tease. Say hi to YouTube. You want to say hi to YouTube? You want to say hi to YouTube? Say hi, YouTube. This is her bear. She absolutely loves this bear. We've gone through about 4 of them because she keeps chewing them up. But it's her favorite toy in the world. So she's a sweetheart though. Oh, I love you so much. So the only thing I really did for this modification was to cut the line a little bit shorter, and we need to reattach the buckle that you actually attach to their collar. So in order to do that, I would suggest you fully extend the leash and set the lock, and then just get an idea of how long you want it. You may want it longer than I did. This is about 8 feet and 4 inches because I knew that when I created the new buckle, there's going to be some overlap in order to attach the buckle, so you needed a little bit of extra length. So from the handheld unit all the way to the buckle is about 8 feet. And you can see the extra that I cut off, which is probably at the 17-foot mark. So just to get an idea of how long that thing used to be. So once you figure out how long you want the leash to be, you can just use a piece of chalk, a light colored marker, anything to just mark a line on the ribbon itself, and then you can move to the table. I went ahead and obviously I'm not going to cut off what I've already done, so we're just going to do a demo on the old piece. Before I get started, I would highly suggest you tie a knot. I just let this retract a little bit, just to the point that I was actually going to be cutting, because if you don't tie a knot or you don't use a rubber band or tie it off in any way, if you bump this switch while you have it cut off, the whole thing's going to suck in to the body of the leash and you will never see it again unless you tear it apart, which is a big pain in the butt. So what I did was I just went ahead, slid this part back. So you can see the original one was stitched. What I did was I glued it and added staples. And these are extra long staples. These are 10mm staples. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just get the scissors out and do a gutsy cut this piece off. So before you do anything else, you want to make sure that you slide the plastic piece onto the new part of the ribbon, because if you don't do that, these are going to be exposed. The nice thing about this cover is not only does it cover up the staples, but it also keeps them from ever being able to pull out. So I know this might look a little sketchy, but we've been using this for a long time. It's been through a lot of pressure and these things have not budged. At this point, we are going to pretend this keychain is our new attachment for the collar. So what I did was I just wrapped it around here, left myself about 1.5 inches And then what I'm going to do is fold that over. Keep in mind, I've put this on it already. You want to make sure you do that. And then I am going to glue it with something along the lines of this. This is Gorilla Glue. I would suggest using like a gel style super glue rather than that cheap watery stuff, just because I think it'll make a better bond. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and use a clamp it, and let it sit for at least a half hour before I'm going to add the staples. That just allows it to really set up so we've got both a chemical bond and a mechanical bond with the staples. I'm going to start by adding some glue, and you need a pretty decent area, but make sure you're not gluing it all the way to the edge, because you want this to be a little bit loose so the end piece can actually move around. Maybe something like that. And then I just went ahead and folded it over. You definitely don't want to do this on your dining room table without something covering it. I'm pretty sure my wife would murder me if I glued something to the table or stapled into the table. But just hold it for a little bit, let it set up. Once it's had a chance to set up a little bit, you can just put it in a clamp. And just squeeze it as tight as you possibly can. I think the tighter that you clamp it, the better it's going to adhere. Once you've given it time for the glue to set up, like I said, I'm using these. They are 3/8 inch or 10 millimeter staples. The longer the better, I think, because the more you can wrap the end of the staples around, I think just the more grab it's going to give over the long term. So I put those in my staple gun. And you really want to pay attention to how long this cover is, because you don't want staples hanging out of it. So I just kept this pretty handy, or close by on this ribbon before I stapled it. And then you want to staple into some kind of piece of wood before you go right into your table. Like I said, not a good idea. But you want to get fairly close to the latch, not too close. You still want to give it some room to move. So you're literally stapling it into a piece of wood. And then I did one across here, and then I did 3 the opposite way. Something along those lines. So at this point, I just took a hammer. I wanted to pound in the things a little bit farther on this end before I flip it over and get the rest of it down in there. So once the staples are removed from the board, I know they're not super duper pretty, but they are going to do the job. So I would just fold it over, use something like needle nose pliers or something to start the bend, and try not to stab yourself. That would not be fun. Okay, so kind of a pain in the butt, but not too terribly bad. We've got the staples all the way through. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and hit it one more time with a hammer, try to flatten those out as much as we can so we have enough room to slide over the buckle. Okay, so that's pretty much it. At this point, you would just slide the buckle over, just like that. And you have a shorter leash. So one thing I did want to mention, if you are somebody who's interested in training a dog, I'm not that person, but you can check out Fredo, the wheelchair guy. He's another paraplegic. He's got a ton of good videos on training dogs. He's got a lot of experience, but for me, I didn't really want to train an old dog to do new tricks. So I'm pretty much just going to stick with what I already know. We're going to modify rather than recreate the wheel. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.